All right, the top 10 albums of April includes a bit of a disclaimer starting out as we get into it, because a couple of things that I've been working on for a while are sort of becoming realities on the site, just smaller details that have taken a while to work out the ins and outs of it. There is a zine tab on the site up here at the top. You can click on it. You will get back issues of the physical zine as well as the digital versions, which you can purchase yourself and look through. Uh, that's now available, and what that means is that there's also a new store for Mystification Zine specifically, and that you can find the link there. It's linked on every page at the bottom of it, and that will lead you to a store where you can buy old Spirit Coffin Publishing releases. There'll be more there over time, but for now, this is all USA centered. I'm not selling outside of the US for a lot of different reasons. Mostly the cost isn't worth it, but if you like to make bulk deals, just go ahead and get in touch with me, and I can give you a price list as well as rate the shipping. So otherwise, I have a Discogs up. I'm selling a lot of stuff that is just taking up space or that I'm not, I haven't listened to in years. There's also some stuff that I've inherited over the last year or so that I'd like to just kind of clear out. That's over there. All of that supports, all the money from that goes into the site in one way or another. The site costs are not that high, but the more that I get, the more that I can put into things like physical copies of the zine. That is a big goal here this year in 2025, is to raise enough money to put together a physical zine. So anything you contribute is basically going there. The stuff like YouTube, there's no money made from any of that. So still, it's the more followers, the more people who watch videos, the sooner that a lot of that could monetize eventually. I use an ad blocker, so I don't really care if anybody else does. In any case, the one that kind of hit me with the most riffs, and the one I'm getting to first here, is Pestifer at number 10 with Ravaging Fury. This is a death metal band from Portugal, and I would say they lean a little bit more in the kind of Chrysian and Angel Corpse area of things, with some black and thrash metal aggression in their work too. It is basically a death metal band, but there are dark currents running through everything that they do. And this is just a record that is very straightforward, has a ton of riffs, has traditional thrash and black metal in there too, and it's just a great band. I couldn't pull myself away from this record, as simple and striking as it was for what it was, but I thought it was great, and even if I didn't review it, I listened to it a ton this last month. The Necromantic Patterns is the 10th full-length album from Asherontis, and that's number 9 on this list. This is a black metal album from this long-running Athens Greek-based artist, and this latest configuration is particularly inspired. I like that there is more of those more melodic black metal feeling runs in the guitar work. It is a guitar-focused record, and I think that's always where Asherontis does best, is to build an album around a strong guitar performance and just make it bigger with their own personality, which is very compelling for its spiritual directive. I think it's a great band to check out. If you're not familiar, it's a great album to start with, but definitely move your way back and work your way back to the 2000s if you're going to, because there's a lot of great work in their discography. Instead of Being is a debut full-length album from Tetrammorph Impure, a melodic funeral death doom metal group from an Italian artist, and one that puts a lot of care into the sounds and kind of the thunder of this record, while making more kind of depressive and dramatic funeral doom out of it. I would say it kind of leans even more towards death doom metal most of the time, but there's a mix between what I would call 90s melodic death doom, gothic death doom. There's a lot of niche and nuance in this style. I would say there's some mournful congregation in there as well, but if you're a fan of Evoken and stuff like that, you'll appreciate this record outright. It's a great record, great sounding record, and worth spending some time with if you haven't heard it yet. third full-length album from Incinerate Him makes it to number 7 because it has riffs. They're only improving with each record. I think this is one of the finer death metal records of the year so far. I think there's a notable band for sticking with that pure United States death metal style, but inserting some of their interest in like Swedish death metal as well along the way. This one is a little bit more direct. It's a little bit more right to the point of influence. There's some more outright deicide influenced songs on here. I think that's where they're most comfortable and seem to enjoy themselves most, is hitting those types of riffs. It's a great band, very much worth checking out, and I just liked every element of this record, from the production values to the album art. Everything really came together for this one. Big fan. This is an odd choice. I think this album from Kexeller is a bit weird. It's a bit unexpected. It's also different from anything else they've released before in terms of its tone. It's got kind of a post-metal, post-hardcore vibe to it. It's got some skronking, strange moments. It really inserts a lot of different ideas in here. What makes it interesting is how well that they've done to really blur together these emergent, jammed-on ideas and stuff that they just came up with at the top of their head into these composed songs with a lot of feeling to them. It's kind of interesting the way that it comes together. It's not for everyone. A lot of people have sort of messaged me and talked to me about how they just don't get it. It's just a matter of if you have fun with something that is improvised or not. And I particularly like hearing what people come up with when they improvise and how far they can take it into a song. So that was a lot of the appeal here for me. Check it out if you like that kind of experimental dark music overall. Taudis and Tempus Edax Rerum is another band that kind of rethought what they were doing and decided to become just a little bit more avant-garde for the sake of darker expression, and it really worked out for their sound. There's kind of death doom and kind of blackened guard added to the run-on style of the band. So what ends up happening is that this is both more traditional in some respects, darker in kind of an immolation-esque way, but also abstract in the way that maybe Crypts or something like that is in taking incantation-esque death metal and finding a different verve for it, playing with rhythms in that sense. It's an interesting exploration overall, and it's also just a good death metal record, very immersive in that sense. I think I described Ancient Death's Ego Dissolution, their debut full-length album, as something like hippie death metal, a generation of hippie death metal that is taking on new age 90s progressivisms, as well as explorations that feel like they're derived from the 70s by way of the 90s. And so what ends up happening here is a record that is actually kind of positive in its message, and it's experimental in a way and open-minded in a way that Cynic and Atheist and similar bands were early on. But it takes it to a place which is also just old school death metal as well. There's a little bit of an early Finnish death metal side of it. So it feels like this is an ancestor of a lot of what came out in the late 2010s in terms of bands like Tumult and Blood Incantation and whatnot. And then it kind of pushes it into a place that is a little bit more progressive, but also a little bit old school in a different way. It's an interesting record, and it's worth checking out, even if you don't fully buy into this style all the way. Easily one of the most exciting black metal records of last month was Serpentase, Desert Psalms. And the thing is with this record is that it's not so predictable in everything that it does. Yeah, granted, if you're a fan of Angrenost and Mistherming, you will know some of these people by their work. You can definitely tell there's an influence from Icelandic black metal in here. These musicians are quite strong performers, and it really shows on this album the way they put it together. But it flows in a way that is challenging challenging at times and performative at others. And I really like that balance between challenging ideas as well as quick flowing and dominant expression. It's a very strong record in its presence, and I hope that they find a way to iterate upon it in a meaningful way, because I really found it entertaining and nice to return to. If you're looking for a lot of big dumb riffs and you're kind of coming up dry in April, Bloom of the Abnormal Flesh, this I think third record from Morbific, Finnish death metal band, it brings a lot of what is kind of current and brutish about death metal, but also it brings something grotesque and grinding as well. There's sort of a melodicism to this record that is in there. There's a groove to this record that's in there, but most of it focuses on cleaner production values, more brutality, and different types of songs. So the big thing here for me is that their songwriting has improved. Their riff craft is getting there as well over time, and overall it's just an entertaining death metal record that has plenty of focus on the riffs, a lot more brutality. It still sounds like underground death metal, but they've cleaned up the production a little bit from the last one, so it doesn't sound too much like a dumpster fire. Hands down, there's no other choice for album of the month. Sene's Helgene Combat is easily the best thrash metal record I've heard all year. It trounces a lot of the great stuff I heard last year too. It's just a fantastic record front to back. Every point hits. I think that they've improved a little bit in some of their incorporation of kind of speed metal into the death metal side of things. It's got this interesting balance of being an 80s death metal record, being like a classic thrash metal record, but also meeting those things on terms that still line up with even some of the early 90s death metal. So there's this timeless tribute to death metal in here, but also their own specificity that carries over from their first record, to the point where in some ways I like this record even more than their first, and I gave that a 10 out of 10. So we'll see how that sorts out by the end of the year in terms of how the score might change, but for now, I feel like Sene have done more than iterate. They found a path through that is even more exciting and probably even more interesting to fans of classic thrash metal, because you're going to hear not only references to classic thrash metal riffs, but work that is worthy of that interest. Whether you're a fan of the German side of things or the Bay Area, you'll even hear some Bay Area thrash in there too. So great record. Couldn't get enough of it. Still listening to it. One of my favorite current bands in this style at this moment, and I think just one of the best records of the year by far. So, of course, huge recommendation from that one. Read my review on all these and check these out for yourself.